I'm Shirakawa from Oyunso. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you. In a previous video, you mentioned that you didn't have much money, Shirakawa-san. Did anyone around you say anything about that?
Oh well, people who know me well, a few of them said, "You've always been like that, haven't you?"
I see, so...
I haven't heard anything from my employees, so they might be thinking, that's a lie, right?
Well, you never know about that.
But it's true that since I became the representative, I've been able to increase my compensation properly. And since I'm single now, as I probably mentioned in that video, my life isn't really that tough.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't want the president to have a tough life anyway.
Well, you know, it's really only been in the last few years that I've finally been able to stabilize the company to some extent.
Yeah.
Until then, it couldn't be helped, I guess. And looking forward, there are still areas where we need to make upfront investments. It's not that we have a lot of leeway, but we've been pushing ourselves quite hard to try new things until now.
Right, yeah.
I used to pay out of my own pocket, but now I'll use company expenses for those things.
I see. Using expenses for what's necessary. Now, to the main topic. You mentioned that the Kansai route has been in the red for a long time. There's another company that also goes to Kansai, right?
That's right. Among the companies in Hokkaido, there's one more that goes to Kansai.
Regarding the companies currently running those roads, are other companies making significant profit? I occasionally drive past the offices of other companies and I see some really nice cars parked there. But you actually only have a company car, Mr. Shirakawa, right?
Yes, you're very observant.
Don't they seem profitable? Just by looking at them, and from what they say too.
Well, I've been called a poor person before.
So what do you have right now?
So they must be making quite a bit.
I see. So even going all the way to Kansai, they're making more profit?
Originally, the profit margin for the Kansai route was poor. Simply put, while it's 1,000 kilometers one way from Hidaka, Hokkaido to the Miho area in Kanto, it's 1,500 kilometers one way to the Rito area. That's 1.5 times the distance, and the time is also about 1.5 times. When you consider the turnaround time and the specific days for quarantine, the loss is much more than just 1.5 times. Yet the freight rate was only 1.25 times for a long time. So the profit margin for the Kansai route is overwhelmingly poor. In the end, by doing one-cushion transport, making detours has become almost impossible, or at least very difficult, and we don't do it. What we've always promoted as Oyunso's strength is our loading method that minimizes the burden on the horses. Veteran trainers, including those who have retired, know this well, and that image of us still remains quite strong. Oyunso comes straight without making detours here and there. That's why the horses aren't tired. Since starting one-cushion transport, we've received a lot of feedback that they can start training immediately. Until then, fevers were common, but even so, they'd come straight to us, and that's exactly it. Local horse racing is all over the place, so we dropped one off at Iwate Racing, then loaded one in the empty space, dropped off two in South Kanto, loaded two more, dropped off and loaded in Nagoya, then dropped one off at Rito, and went straight to Sonoda to drop off. If you do that, then for one trip in the same number of days, basically the number of horses loaded is higher. Since it's a bit of a detour, costs like tire wear and fuel will increase, but that slight cost increase leads to a huge jump in sales. So it's directly linked to profit.
So they make a lot of money?
Well, yeah, I think they're making quite a lot. I guess it's probably the same for many different industries, but if you work people to the absolute max, well, you can somehow manage to turn a profit. That's basically what they're doing. We used to push our people too, but I want to avoid that as much as possible. That's why I was out there driving so much myself, even though one person driving doesn't really lighten the load for dozens of others. Still, I worked hard with the retired group during busy times, trying to give the active drivers at least a little bit of a break. As we fully address the 2024 problem, ohe.horseline drivers won't be moving as much, people won't move. But there are companies doing the exact opposite. And while we used to have all our drivers working at full capacity, they're now actually doing even more work for the clients we previously had to turn away, simply because we didn't have the capacity at that time. They're taking on whatever they can, so the people on the ground look terrible. I mean, their appearance...
Like, can I even go home?
I think there are a lot of people who aren't going home. Luckily, you can sleep in the horse trailers.
Ah, yeah.
You know, you're really not supposed to do that, though.
But in exchange, wasn't the driver's pay supposed to be really high?
It's probably better than ours. Even I've said that our drivers are putting their lives on the line. And I tell the other employees too, the non-drivers. I tell them we can only eat because these people are working themselves to the bone. But they're pushing even harder than that. They're pushing in ways they shouldn't have to.
I think last year, other companies and Ohe Unso all raised prices once, and I believe you said Ohe is raising prices alone this time. I wonder if the driver salaries at other companies are better now because of that price hike.
It's hard to say for sure, mainly because allowances and salary calculations can really vary from company to company. But if we're talking about companies with a similar setup, those companies are definitely, well, in the same general ballpark. The premise for our price hike at ohe was based on the calculation that we need to reduce annual operations by as much as 30%. And since our drivers' pay is largely commission-based, which means most of their income depends on the number of jobs they complete, this will directly affect their earnings. There are quite a lot of long-distance drivers, even for things other than horses. That's probably why it's on the news. If they can't drive, they can't earn any money.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Since commissions decrease, about 30% of drivers stop working. Simply put, the price increase included a portion to be returned to the drivers. We calculated for a slight increase, but without following the 2024 problem, we ended up operating much like the previous year.
Oh, so individual incomes should have gone up, right?
That's right, for the drivers, yes, it went up in the wrong way. So, well, that was just a fluke, or rather a mistake. Originally next year, meaning 2026 from now, we'll aim for full compliance. Raising prices and not actually doing it, especially if it leads to administrative action, would be a fraud against our customers. We can't do that. So the whole company is working toward full compliance. But in exchange, for now, well, the customers, they probably think, oh, Unso is doing the same thing as last year, but since we're still hauling for them and keeping things moving, they can't really say anything or call us out. I think companies we deal with often, like the ranches, definitely feel that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think you mentioned in the last video that other companies were also supposed to raise prices this time. But in the end, other companies also understand that a price hike is necessary given the rising cost of goods, increased labor costs and all that.
Right? But really I was asked, why? And I thought, wait, why not? At the same time, I explained we have to do this and that, so we need this much. In this position, it's not just us. Everyone needs it, right? How many more people do you think we'll need for legal compliance, operations management, and administration? We're trying to handle it, but as for the others, I wonder.
So, do they feel like they don't need to raise prices?
Isn't that it? Which means, how long do they plan to stay in business? Not doing what's required? Maybe they're thinking of just closing up shop if they get penalized.
If that actually happens, the blow to the horse racing world will be even bigger than anyone could have possibly expected.
Oh, it'll be huge. That's why I don't want them to do that. I want them to take it seriously. I don't want them to just give up because they're getting older. As for us, well, you might have seen it in the price hike notice, but I've been mentioning this in my videos for a while now, just so everyone is aware. I want to keep providing this service, transporting horses safely and reliably, and doing my part to contribute to the community and the industry. If a manager more capable than me, a true successor, comes along, I'm ready to hand things over anytime. No hesitation. I truly mean that. The reason is, I want this business to last long term, to continue far into the future, so I really feel the need to nurture and support the next generation. Well, other companies are saying some pretty laid-back things, aren't they? But I want to be upfront and honest about where we stand and what we're aiming for.
Yeah, sure.
It's not just being laid back, they're not even thinking about it. Well, they all have assets, you know? It's obvious when you listen to them. And their luxury cars are amazing. I've seen them, I've seen wealthy people before, but I haven't really been given rides in those expensive luxury cars.
Yeah, but considering the industry, that's just, right?
Exactly. That's my biggest concern. So, these videos are just one way of doing it, but I'm speaking out like this because I want people to realize it. I want the people who need to know to notice. It really is a critical situation, without a doubt. In so many ways. It's a critical situation in every sense, yet some people won't move. Some have given up. The very people who need to act.
Right.
It's a terrifying situation, I can see it.
I think that if people in the industry happen to watch this and realize they need President Shirakawa, he will probably go to them directly. So they really should reach out if they are interested.
Yeah, absolutely. As for the reason why they can't do that, well, you see, with so many customers to handle and manage every single day, it's just not really possible for them to do it. I can't explain it every single time. If I did, a year would pass by in no time. If I leave this situation alone for a whole year, the crisis will only get worse. So, I'd rather speak out right here, where anyone can see it, and then I know I have to take action to stop it. I really have to make a move.
It's a critical time to push through.
Well, for a while now, I probably haven't talked about new hiring on this channel, have I? This channel started for recruitment, but since around October 2025, it's been more about raising issues in the industry, like we're doing now. It's probably become about this, right? Like, this job isn't that easy. We had that, right? It's become about that. After seeing that and understanding, even if only a little, the seriousness of the crisis in this industry, I want drivers who still want to take on the challenge, who truly have the guts and determination to say, I'll play my part in changing things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, leave the field to me, President, you just keep charging ahead.
Right.
It might be strange for a newcomer to think that far, but that kind of spirit, you know?
Yeah, it would be great if someone like that joined.
Exactly. What I really want is for people to apply only after giving it some serious, careful thought, not just on a whim or without considering it properly. Well, you know, the veterans in our group are getting older these days, so that's why I'm planning to start recruiting new members properly again. Also, among our fellow companies, well, there's an implicit rule, or rather one we've all communicated and kept, about not poaching staff. But some presidents always say, if the person wants to do it, there's nothing we can do. And some seem to be acting in bad faith, so I guess I don't need to worry about them anymore. I think there are many drivers who feel a sense of crisis, probably.
That's the current situation, I guess.
So I'd really like to say, come join us. It's such a waste to have people with skills in this industry just leaving.
Yeah, you're right, especially since it's so niche.
I honestly wouldn't think of poaching from companies that have properly and diligently followed the rules, but as for the others, I think it's fine now. I'd say welcome openly. If you want to work with us, then by all means, please do. That's the situation, I guess. I don't know, by the time this video is public, that might be the case. Maybe the facts about companies acting in bad faith will be out in the open. Whether we truly cooperate or clash head-on, I think it'll be one or the other. At this point, half-hearted maneuvering just wastes time. Before you know it, it's like the boiling frog thing, right? If we just stall, everyone's going to end up finished. Thank you very much.
Thanks for today.
Thank you. At ohe.horseline, we are looking for drivers. Please check out the recruitment site or corporate site in the description. And if you're interested, we'd love for you to apply.